Hi. Been a bit since I posted. But yeah, different reasons. But anyway, church is doing a Christmas series, and so the first one was on hope, and I think I talked about that one. And the next one was on joy and peace. Well, the next one was joy, and the one after that was on peace, and those two were really, really good. Um, the first one, both of them talked about mental health during the Christmas period, which often happens to go down, and the way in which they handle that was quite good, especially considering the first one was about joy, and the pastor talked about, well, sadness and depression, and shared with us his struggles with that, and how he's going about fixing that, and how we can find joy in life, and that finding joy in life can be a better way of building our life instead of just seeking happiness, which is very fleeting. Happiness, when it was first coined, was only coined recently, and it meant someone who is in lucky circumstances, whereas joy is to be joyful even when you're down on your luck. And it's kind of talking, and yeah, he talked about how all the wondrous things that the world the world is filled with wondrous things that can bring you joy, and how to go about that. And that was really nice. And then the other one was about peace and anxiety. And the pastor, there were two different pastors speaking. So like we had the head pastor talking about joy, and then our normal congregational pastor talking about peace and anxiety, and how peace doesn't necessarily, not in the world we live in, peace is almost impossible to find in the world we live in, but it doesn't mean true peace, like full peace, like peace not only on a national level, but inner peace, completely free from worries, is impossible to find, and anxiety, but we can find peace in that chaos, and how, while not everything was resolved, not everything will ever be resolved here, while we'll never find true peace here on earth, there is a greater thing to come. The kingdom comes, and that is a greater thing. And I'll put a link to both the messages, because I don't quite do either of them justice, but they're really good, really insightful, really beautiful messages from the heart. So I'll probably put a link so people can look at them, but they were good. They're really good. The other thing I want to talk about is I'm probably going to go back and start doing the reading the Bible thing, and I'm going to start with I'm gonna start with the Gospels. I'm just gonna go through the Gospels. I'm not necessarily gonna do it every day, but I'm gonna try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week. And maybe I might end up doing it every day. I probably won't do it. We'll definitely do it next week, but like the 2 weeks surrounding Christmas, I might not, as I am going away on holidays, and I won't actually have my computer, so I won't be recording anything then. But yeah, that will definitely be a thing. But what those 2 sermons got me thinking about, and I don't know, Christmas time is a time where it's the end of the year, and I end up being very reflective over how the year has gone. And I've kind of thought about things, and the world in which we live in is a broken place. There's no doubt about it, and in some ways, we won't ever be able to truly fix it. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And when I was younger, I used to believe that I was fine with that, but I don't think I was, because I don't think I fully understood how broken the world is. I wanted to try and fight and be good and kindness onto the world, but I didn't understand. I know I am strong, not because because despite the fact that the world has revealed itself to me in all its wholeness and all its brokenness and all its misery and depression and things, it has not fully broken me. It's definitely bent me and put me out of shape, but and maybe on some level, broken. I've been broken. Like, I've definitely felt terrible, but I've been able to put myself back together again, both with my family and in some ways with God. Well, very much with God, like by myself, but like with God. And I'm stronger now. And I'm still going to keep smiling at that person across the road. I'm going to keep smiling and I'm going to keep being kind, because the world's broken and you probably can't fix it. But the one thing I want to say is the fight probably won't be over when I probably won't see the kingdom come in my lifetime. But I'm going to keep fighting for it, because in some ways it's already been won. And I believe that in Jesus Christ, in his death has been defeated. I believe that, and that's one of the few key things that's able to keep me going, because I don't just think I can't do this on our own. I don't think that we can do that in my generation, in my lifetime, or at the very least we can't make the world perfect again in my lifetime. And I don't know if we ever could, definitely not without God's help, but like, I don't think we can. It's so broken in some ways that I don't think it's impossible, but I think we can get it better. And one thing, I know there's only like 10 of you watching, but one thing I want to call out is when Jesus said turn the other cheek, I think we need to, like, being a decent person isn't enough, because I think turning the other cheek would be being a decent person would be the equivalent of being a decent person if the slap in the face never happened, because the slap in the face never should have happened in the first place. So we need to turn the other cheek. We need to go beyond, because the world needs that to be prepared, because there are people out there who don't want to be good, and we need to fight that by being the best kind of goodness we can be. And I'm not calling you to become Christian or become thing, but I'm calling you to try and be kind and be good, and I'm calling you to be kind to everyone, regardless of whether, and if someone's to be kind to you back, give them kindness in return, and act like you almost owe it to them. Like, if someone gives you kindness, act like you owe it to them to be kind back, and be kind to everyone, and give goodness and give love and light into the world, but understand that, and on the understanding that they owe you nothing. Be kind, and on the understanding they owe you nothing, and you act. And if anyone ever be kind to you, repay it back tenfold and act like you owe it to them because they have been kind to you. But I say act, because you do not actually owe that to anyone. And that's also a very important thing to remember. You owe nothing to anyone, but you must give everything freely. That is what will fix the world. Because you need to remember you don't owe it to anyone, because that way if someone refuses to change and you can't do anything, you need to step away for your own sanity and your own safety. And if someone's being abusive, if someone's being hurtful, you can step away, you can draw back. But do not stoop to their level. Never hate on them. Treat them with respect, because they are a human being, but remove yourself from that situation. Because someone doesn't want to change, you can't force them to change. But that doesn't mean, and that doesn't reflect on you. Remember that you owe nothing to no one, even your greatest friends. You owe them nothing. You choose to be good to them. It is not owed of you. That is a key thing to remember. Be good and kind and loving to everyone and anyone. But remember that you owe no one anything ever. You owe nothing. But despite owing nothing to anyone, you choose to be good. Remember, it's always a choice. Did you know in D&D there's a thing called being, I think it's evil good, where it's like, you are the most selfish, terrible person, but you're also really smart, and you realize that the best way of having friends and being well liked and making and everyone caring about you is being a genuinely good person. Like, you do not give a shit, and like, or even like there's even like or chaotic lawful where it's like you follow your own set of code, but it just so happens your own code lines up directly with the law, because in some ways the law can be good, and in some ways society can be good, and I want people to do that. I want people to find out. I want people to search deeper, to question everything, to be thinkers, to think about everything critically. Critical thinker, critical thinker. I want you to think critically about the world around you, and I want you to try and define what is moral, and think about all the possibilities of things that can go wrong, and realize that you don't need the answers right now, but think about them and think about them and try and act in the most moral way you can, regardless of the consequences, because half the time it will light up with society and half the time it won't. But in doing so, you might change society and make society better, because we need everyone. And sometimes I wish I could just shout at people's faces that they're being idiots, because a lot of people are, because they just go with the flow. So you need to stand out. And sometimes standing out is as simple as being kind, and it's ridiculous and it's terrible, but that being a genuine, nice person is a shock in this world. But it is. It is. It is. It is. It is. The most rebellious thing you could ever do is give someone a smile, especially when they're downtrodden their luck, when they're abused by society, when society, the forgotten, the left behind. Be kind to them, especially, because they're the ones who need it the most, and the ones who need it the least are the ones at the top of the pile. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing more terrifying to the people on top than someone who refuses to be complacent with the way the world is, who refuses to accept that that's the way things are, who refuses to accept that this is the way the world is. Like, you can acknowledge that the world is terrible and is broken, but that does not mean we have to say that that's fine and that's okay and it doesn't matter. It means we have to say, well, yeah, it is terrible, but if it's terrible, if we all agree it's terrible, then obviously it needs to be fixed. Things can change, and I hope maybe things are starting to change, but I don't know, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to take more. It's always going to take more. Anyway, bye!